So, before I get started, I'd like to thank all of my members of the channel for being part of the channel, all subscribers, all watchers, but especially members, because actually your contributions really help when we need to get things done here. I'd like to shout out to George Clark 123. What's the current name? I think it's, it was 123. I think it's George 4 at the moment. We're going to check on that. But anyone who's watching his channel, get online, throw him a comment. He loves it. Him and his partner are lovely people. So go and give them a watch. So big shout out to Georgie there, and partner actually, Sophie, I believe, Sophie. And yeah, as always, thank you all to everyone who leaves comments, who's part of the channel, who come here and say hello. Paul Laguna, absolutely become a big part of the team, as well as Stuart, big part of the team. Obviously John, Danny, Rabjab, Warren, everyone else. But so many of you pop in nowadays, and you're always welcome. I love all the visitors, and you get to see all of the mayhem up in person. And when people come here, film. I encourage you, get your phones out, pick up my filming phone, film away, you know, get your perspective, your angles. That's always really helpful. Thank you all so much. So, because I was worried about this gap here into the oil pan, I put a magnet in and I fished around, and no joke, I pulled out the last 2 bolts. I'm not saying these are usable, I'm saying, my God, the engine could have been destroyed. Now, I think this engine's had a bit of a rattle for a while. I think this was the rattle, it came off loose. The end of this bolt was in the housing here. It's a magnetic field, because I pulled that out immediately. And then we had 1 bolt when we took it off, and then I think 1 bolt fell off earlier today because it was starting originally, wasn't it? It was gripping and then it kind of went completely. Actually, there could have been a bolt in there for a while. If you look at the head, it's quite smooth. So my kind of thought is, can we not just buy the 3 bolts? The kit is 60 quid. Can we not just buy 3 decent bolts and use some thread lock on it, which you should do anyway? I see no reason why not. I'm going to look for that online. But that goes to show you guys, if I didn't think, let's get a magnet in there out of curiosity and fish that around, then you'd have had that rattle in the engine forever. I strongly think, like, once we've done this fix, that this bike's going to sound better than it ever has before, because it's always sounded a bit touchy on that bottom end, hasn't it? I really think it's going to be okay. I've got all of the original parts to rebuild that, if I can find them bolts. I mean, they're high strength tensile bolts, so you can't just use any ones you can find. You do have to buy the originals. So I'm going to get online and have a look for them, because, you know, we can spend 20 quid on them if needed. Ideally it would be a set, but even if you buy that, sometimes that's 30 quid. You can get it from China for 30 quid without the bolts, which is ridiculous, because normally it's the bolts that go wrong after looking online. Okay, cool, that's it.
The next day.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I got I think I've got Steve coming back today. Steve owns the Galera DNA that I built a couple of years back. Apparently it's still going strong. It needs a couple of bits doing, but it's still going strong, which is pretty amazing. And what else? And you just saw the video on the Virago. I got online and I found the 3 bolts, and they were 2 quid each. So I've actually just ordered the bolts for now to see if I can get that working with them only. It's not a bodge fix, that, guys, because the actual housing mechanism was fine, and all of the springs and rollers were there, so it's not a bodge. It is actually just what's needed. As long as the bolts go in and I think they're strong, then that will be the fix for that. And actually, there's a bike sitting there, you know, that needs selling on, and the channel can make a couple of hundred. I can't keep telling you how much all the prices and inflation of things have hammered everything. I mean, I used to have a few pound every month for projects and stuff, and now I really don't. Now every penny is squeezed, so it's tough times. But that's not me complaining. That's me sympathising, because everyone's going through it. The majority of people are noticing bills are higher, their money's going less far, and some people are really struggling. So I absolutely acknowledge that. I do a bog standard basic 9 to 5 job Monday to Friday, with a bog standard pay, and then I do the bikes for fun. This cylinder heads is just it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. There is none, nowhere, anywhere. The one I bought was lost in post by obviously Hermes, who changed their name, or was it Hermes or Every? They're now called. It's just not out there. CMPO have one with the valves in, which is what I want, and without the ring gear, but that's without the sprocket. But that's fine. I've got a sprocket. But I just want a fully built one or second-hand one. They're just not out there. So I really don't know. I've never ever struggled to find parts. I've always found parts eventually, and I still might. But at the moment, this is just taking up space and time and money, really. I don't know. It's not worth a penny. I don't know what I do with that at the moment. And of course, the Triumph, we're going to throw on Wassels at some point. So while I'm waiting for Steve, I've taken the handlebars off. I think I'm going to do what John said, and I'm going to try and paint them. Smooth them down and paint them black. Now, I don't know how well they're going to come out. I don't know if this pitting will smooth over. I'm not sure if it's going to come out great. It probably will be a temporary fix. I can get a new set for 50 quid. But money is that tight, to the point where even that, you know, I can't just go and spend that at the moment. So every bit I'm doing is small and bit by bit, and I'm trying to save this bike on a budget now, which is fine, really. It's quite good practice at times. So I'm going to sand these down to get them keyed, make sure all of the rust is off and gone. Ideally now I would be de-rusting the top using the de-ruster. Problem is, it doesn't matter. The rust on the inside is still in there, and you know, at some point that will work its way out. What I can do is spray a bit of WD down there and swish it around, and that'll slow it down for a bit, but it won't save it. So ultimately I'm going to sand all these down, try and get them smooth, put on a couple of coats of black, and just see if it looks like it will be okay. This one's going to need a good amount of clear. I'm not even sure how I'm going to hang this to get it painted. I don't need the very ends painted. There's not an issue there, so I can possibly put a tight cable tie around it and hang it up and spray it hung up like that, and just kind of hope I can get full coverage and hope that the clear sets very solid and so on. I would have preferred a nice shiny chrome set on there, because there's enough black on the bike. It's going to be a fair amount of black, but for now it's more of a, I don't know. I mean, thinking about it, it's really not worth it anyway, is it? I don't know. I'm going to think about it. Maybe I've got a silver. I've got the engine paint in there. That might be a better. Let me get it cleaned and ready for something. So, on rare occasions, I think, and this is what I'm thinking, we've got some sort of bad bent valve here. That's a given. Very obvious. I can't get the valve out because when I put in a bolt to put a slide hammer on here, or the equivalent, it snapped. So normally this would slide out and it was rock solid. It didn't come out even with the right tool. But we obviously, look, we have a bent valve here. We've got a huge gap. So I need to extract that valve. Now the top rocker here gives you no room. But here's my thoughts, theory, attempt. If I can get my compressor down onto the head, look. If I can get it down onto the head, onto the valve, then I might be able to compress the valve enough to get the magnet out and pull the retaining clips out. But I need a slit down here that will go over here. So I can't get down to the valve, can I? So I need to put a cutout in here, which should still give me enough integrity to compress the valve, and then a strong magnet should pull out the bits. I think that's the desperate stage I'm at. I haven't looked to see if I can get a valve online, but my guess is I can. And then, I mean, for one, we'll see how bent it is, and for two, I could possibly order a new valve. Now, if I do this, it's going to be such a pain in the arse to put in the retaining clips in the new valve. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. So, it's going to be so tight. But with a bit of a fiddle, we might be able to just make it. What's interesting about this rocker is it doesn't go much higher. Look, I mean, normally they rock up quite high. This is almost at its fixing already for. It's almost at its max adjustment, which I don't really get because normally they would rock up a bit more. So let me see. I'm going to do a cutout in that. I'm going to take my time, do a cutout in that. See if I can compress this spring, see if I can get it off. And it might be that we just need a valve. The other thing we had issues with is this. I might need to try and extract this engine bolt. I do have an extractor tool which might bolt it and might do it, especially on something like the torque gun, or it might snap it. That's my luck. My luck is I'll be able to do the valve and then I'll snap the exhaust stud. But if there are no other parts available at all in the world, then we just don't have an option but to try and save what we've got at this stage. So continuing down the route of showing more, you may be able to see me compress this spring with the slit, or not. I don't really know. I'm going to use my best magnet. There's one. One sleeve. Where's the other one? Got it. Come on. So after taking the cam out, the valve did pop out. I'm not sure you can see. Is there a better way of showing you? You can see it there in the way it spins, but look at the shaft. See the shaft here? Look, it's bent massively. It's massive. You can see it here in the middle as well. Look, as you spin it, look, up, down. So I don't know if I could actually get a new valve back in, if I'm being honest. But for a few quid, it might be worth looking into. I do wonder if it's the same as a YVR valve. I might have to get online and look for one. The spring popped out. The spring's here. That's fine. That's normal. The spring retainer I just chucked in here as well. And of course we've got the one clip and the second clip down in there now. Both are down in there. So we've got everything we need. And then of course look, the cam's out. This is what caused the issue. It snapped in there, so we couldn't take the top rockers off. But look, with the cam out, they go much higher. This one goes much higher, where I might be able to squeeze the valve in and even get it seated and get this back on. I mean, it's a proper faff. But if it solves the problem, I mean, I don't think, I've never straightened one of these. Part of me was thinking hammer it straight, but it's so bent on the shaft here and on the bottom. I will look online and see if there's one to buy. I think I've just ordered that valve, guys. £21. What's the world coming to? £21 for one of these. Look, but it could just solve all of our problems. You can see how bent it is. Look at the top of that. And it's bent in 2 places. £21. I just won't eat for 4 days. Yes, you have. Don't tell me you haven't got money. You told me you've got money. You got secret bank accounts, mate. About Rabjab. Don't ever listen to Rabjab when he says he has no money. Rabjab's doing well. We're still waiting on Steve. So he should be in a bit. I don't know how I feel about this. I think part of me thinks as long as I can get the cam back in, it was quite a faff getting it out. But it does just compress fit. As long as I can literally get the cam back in once the valve's in, then there should be no issues here. It should be all good. There's the head of the valve there, by the way, so that goes in there. And then we've got the retaining clips there. I think, you know, we've got everything we need once a new valve's here to actually make this work. And there's no chance. This is from the other bike. I wonder what the chances are of that being the same size. I'm not even messing, just waiting for a new one.